How's it going, everybody? That's right. If you can hear my voice, it is another wonderful episode of the Coven podcast, where we talk about all things feminism and being inclusive, and toss that in with all things nerdy in the media that we so very love. Stir it on up in the cauldron and see what we get, which is usually a lot of issues, a lot of problems. I am your host, Daily Wilhelm, the Witch of the Wavelengths. Joining me today are two first-time witches.
What? I'm Wes Womble. I host Input too, if you guys recognize my voice, but I'm not sure if we're there yet.
I'm TT Shinkin. I don't host anything.
You host our hearts here at Byte as the assistant creative director. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at us, all in positions of power.
Power. We're mad with it here.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that we lack, TT and I anyway, is humor. Because women can't be funny.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
just
that's
a
true.
fact of
That's
life.
a darn shame.
Isn't it? Yeah. It really makes me sad, because that's apparently one of the only emotions I can really feel.
Yeah.
Seeing as, like happiness and hilarity are things that are just entirely outside my reach.
They're just completely strange to both you and TT.
Yep.
I'm well versed in humor, though, so
Oh.
Thank
I
you.
should be able to step up and save this podcast.
thank you.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
thanks for being on today.
Mhm.
Definitely.
As
So,
always.
women not being funny, or women having the inherent inability to be funny, is a stereotype that you run into every now and again. I like to think we're in 2017, the modern world, and that's not as big a thing.
That's Trump's
But
America.
yeah,
Let's wait a minute here.
let's be real. Let's be too real. It's still a thing.
Yep.
It's still, women aren't seen as being the funnier of the two sexes.
Yep.
Women aren't nearly as represented in comedy films, in stand-up comedy,
Nope.
in writing for
Oh.
comedies,
Definitely
or
not.
like comedy shows like our dear old David Letterman here at Ball State.
Oh, yeah.
One woman writer, I think, currently.
Really?
Just
Yep.
the one. Just the one. It's cool. As long as
Did
we
not know
get
that.
one in, we're happy.
There's your say.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's a lot of things that this stems from. There's some like evolutionary science behind why men are perceived as being more funny, or just funny altogether, than women. But I'd like to refer to an editorial in Vanity Fair that came out in 2007 by a Mr. Christopher Hitchens, where he really broke it down as to why men are just always going to be funnier, and women just can't get funny nearly as much.
They do not have a funny bone.
He really had a way with words. I'm not going to say he really made me laugh. Made me angry, but
Yeah.
I mean, he made some, I guess, solid points in someone's mind. So I have some choice quotes here. First one being, an average man has just one outside chance. He had better be able to make the lady laugh. Making them laugh has been one of the crucial preoccupations of my life. Women have no corresponding need to appeal to men in this way. They already appeal to men, if you catch my drift. So,
Yep.
the translation here being, because women are just across the board appealing to men in general, there's no bonus status that they need to try.
It kind of goes on. I know there's a quote in here somewhere about, I think it might have been from another article, which we can get into later, but men seeking, like, a woman with a sense of humor, or, like, be able to make a joke, is more of a luxury than it is, like, than it is a like a necessity. Like, and honestly, it's kind of bad, but like I found myself like, yeah, that's kind of true. Like, when I look for women, like, I don't look for like jokes. I try to, obviously, but like it's not like the make or break thing for me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it did say in several different places that across the board, though, humor is very valued.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I would say
both
so.
men and women really love humor, and I mean, I think that's just reflective of everything today.
Yeah.
Memes.
Our-
Let's be real.
God.
Yeah.
I would rather laugh than get angry at someone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But again, this whole thing just made me angry.
Yeah.
It was like, part of it was like he was almost like complimenting women and being like, "You're too smart for jokes."
You're too
See, this
pretty
is
to be
this is
funny.
the thing, like, because honestly, it made you angry, and I honestly had no real problem with it. I think more for me, it was just like stating the facts, but that also could just because I am a man. Like, I do kind of relate to that, you know. It might be harder to hear it from your guys' perspectives, but to me, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's how I've known the world thus far. Like, that's just how it is for me. Like,
Do you feel like that's an always thing, or is that because
kind
now
of,
things are very different?
they're changing, obviously, and I'm not saying they shouldn't change. Change is good. Always looking for change, hope, you know, Obama's whole spiel, even though this is, again, Trump's America. But
No.
Oh, God.
I like that phrase. Let's just live in our bubble here in our safe space.
We'll live
in the
this
podcast
studio
lounge.
right here. We'll break the fourth wall and tell you where we... I guess it's only 3, is it? They can't really see us.
No.
Yeah, so that might only be like
The
a third wall.
wall.
Anyway.
We don't like building walls here.
No, we don't. No, there's no fourth wall being
Oh, boy.
built. Anyway, it's just kind of like you ask any one of like, and I could ask any one of my friends, you know what I mean, my guy friends, what they feel about like this article in general, and they'd be like, yeah, like this is pretty much how I was raised, how I've known the world, like how to be a man, quote unquote. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So you have less of an expectation of women to be funny. It's more like a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it is that exactly what you said, a pleasant surprise. I was like, I mean, like I said earlier, it's not like a make or break thing. If she isn't funny, I'm not gonna like her. But if she is funny, that kind of adds to it. So
Right. Because
Yeah.
that was kind of the point he was trying to make, is that it is a make or break thing, whether
Yeah.
or not a man is funny, whether or not a woman will then be attracted to him.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's other factors involved in general here. It's very like flattening the situation.
Yep.
It's like funny yes, funny no. I just had a lot of issues with him in the fact that it was like, well, if women are funny, then there's something else failing. There's something that they're compensating for.
Yeah.
And usually it's in their looks or
Yeah.
in their religion, because being Jewish means that
Yeah.
you're going to be funny, which I
Yeah.
guess is a compliment.
That was
but
the funniest part about that entire
that was
article.
just
Like,
weird. It
they
was
are, I think, where was it? Like,
Yeah.
most of them, though, when you come to review the situation, are hefty or dykey or Jewish or some
Yeah.
combo of the
Yeah.
3. Like, why Jewish? Like, why not, like, Christian? Why not,
Yeah.
like, Muslim? Why not,
he-
like, Buddhist? Like, Jewish is the
Yeah.
one he singles out.
Yeah, he mentioned at some point, like, the Jewish humor is, like, very self-depreciating, and that can be funny because that's kind of one of his points, is that, like, male humor, where is it? And understands that life is quite possibly a joke to begin with, and often a joke in extremely poor taste.
Yep.
So men, are you resigned that the world's a joke?
Yeah.
The world's terrible.
The more I learn of the world, the more I'm like, why? Like, it's just one big, like, mess. I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, screw it. I have to live here anyway. Like,
Yeah, whereas TT and I, because
Yeah.
we're women, bless our tender hearts, quote unquote, would prefer life to be fair and even sweet rather than the sordid mess it actually is.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah, we
It's-
totally buy into the
Oh.
world being a wonderful place, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny
all
that
sunshine
he
and
makes,
rainbows.
It's funny that he makes this point because, like, it's almost like he's saying that men don't feel this way at all. Like, I would love for the world to, you know, have like peace and be sweet. Everyone's kind to each other. Everyone's laughing, joking around. But it almost seems like he says we can't do that. We're just like
You're not allowed
destined
to
to be depressed from the beginning. Like, this
mean,
world is pretty crap. Like,
all men are nihilists, right?
mhm, apparently in his eyes. And honestly, like, I can see where he's coming from. Like, but I don't think that's true so much anymore. I mean, this is like 2007 article, so it is
Yeah.
kind of getting dated. But
Isn't that weird?
I
What
know.
is time? 2007 was
that
10
was
years ago.
10
Oh, wow.
years ago.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow, but it's okay because we as optimists, TT and I,
Mm-hmm.
Am I
time
though?
time passes slowly. Everything's wonderful. Nothing
we're all
has
gonna die anyway.
changed. Yeah,
We all die
I
in
mean,
the end.
he just puts things like that in such polarizing
Yeah.
terms that I think he has some points, yes, that are true. But I wish it wasn't, I guess, because I'm an optimist as a woman.
Yeah. Same here.
The thing I took away from this article, some of his points aren't really so much that he's trying to argue them. It's almost like he's stating the fact of the way society was around like 2007. I mean, it's not too much change now, but I mean, 10 years is like a relatively short time for societal change to happen. So,
Right.
Yeah.
there can definitely be something starting, but 10 years just doesn't see like radical change like that. But anyway, like it seemed like stating the fact, and like as far as stating the facts go, yeah, I'd agree with the way those were laid out, which is kind of the funny part. Yeah, they are polarizing, but honestly, I think that's just the truth of the situation. Like,
Yeah. I think my biggest problem, aside from like the Dykey/Jewish
that,
thing,
yeah, no,
that's
yeah. I'm
just-
not saying all
Yeah.
his points are
no,
like,
no. But was how he extrapolated the reasons behind why women aren't as funny or can't think of things as funny. And
Yeah.
one of his main points was because of childbirth.
I remember seeing that, like,
Because of
How
childbirth.
does that?
Well,
I
because
don't even. I'm.
we have something so serious upon our shoulders as women, and it's our responsibility to bring life into this world.
Yep.
And that's just, we really got to, like steel our jaws for that and take it very seriously. And there was another point about, well, women won't find dead babies funny in any way. So that also lessens our likelihood to find things funny and to be
I'm thinking
funny
of
ourselves.
some really
Yeah.
dark jokes right now.
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
am too.
Yeah.
I am too.
I mean, definitely, there was a time in middle school where that was one of the most popular jokes
Yeah.
possible.
Was.
Yes.
A dead child.
Yeah, a dead child.
Oh my god.
It's like, why did Anne Frank fall off the swing? Because she's dead.
God.
I mean, like, dark
There's-
humor, I
Dark-
think,
I
has
love dark
no
humor.
gender.
I think and it's good that you bring up, or we're kind of talking about like humor and different types of humor in general. I think that kind of has more to do with the like women aren't funny situation than a lot of people are, giving credit. Like there are some types of humor like very like cut dry humor I don't find funny at all. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like dark humor, a lot of humor that takes like ages to set up, you know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
joke that goes on for like 5 minutes till you get to the punchline.
Yeah.
That just for some reason goes straight down to my funny bone. So like there are different types of like, and you guys may agree, you guys may not, you know what I mean? There's just these different types of humor that I feel like are contributing to this that people aren't really giving credit. That's not to say that there isn't still this issue with women not being represented in like film media, anything being as quote unquote funny, but
Yeah.
there's still that other taste preference that
Yeah.
people aren't giving enough credit.
Right, yeah. In fact, Hitchens did specifically say that comedy is filth. So he's talking about, like, well, women won't get jokes when men make jokes about dicks or something.
I know I will.
I mean, yeah, I think we're a little more educated than maybe he's giving women as a whole credit
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
But
This was
it
2007. You got to
is,
remember, it was
right.
a vastly different time.
Dark time in terms of information.
Mm-hmm.
It was all just a blur. Anyway,
I was still innocent
the
back
first
then.
iPhone was coming out, wasn't it? Like
Oh my
2007,
gosh.
like 2006.
the first
I
time
think.
you were able to Google what those jokes really meant.
Right.
Wow.
On the go, that is. Yeah. But yeah, and definitely 2007 wasn't, it was early 2000s around there that like Dane Cook was popular.
Yep.
And his jokes are just like what
Still don't
could
like
be
Dane
termed
Cook.
like filth. Like his giant rant about, when you're cheating on a girl and you're trying to hide it from the girl that you're dating. That's the one that stands out in my mind, and it's pretty filthy in this term of both like morally and what he's describing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were glitter in places. I'll leave it at that. Do not look up Dane Cook
I'm
rants.
not
I
going to.
Do not recommend.
Okay,
do not
thank you.
recommend. But so I do definitely think he's leaving out other types of humor that aren't filth based.
Yeah.
I mean, look at like Bill Cosby before the whole situation happened there. But
Way before
like,
that.
Yeah.
Way
like-
before that.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like Bill Cosby's humor. Honestly, it was a very clean humor for Bill Cosby. I mean, even then, you could say the same about like Will Smith, although not like a comedian. In his raps, still very
Yeah.
clean. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, and it still sold. It was still there. It was just it was reaching a different audience than the whole filth audience.
Yeah,
was.
what like sitcoms used to be before like
Yeah.
people tried to get edgy with it.
Yeah.
Like pre It's Always Sunny, although I find It's Always Sunny hilarious.
Oh my-
That's one of
me
my
too.
favorite shows.
Same here.
But it shouldn't appeal to us.
Yeah.
Nope.
Because
Sorry.
we're women
Just-
folk.
Nope, you can't find
Especially
it
if
funny. I'm
there's a
sorry.
woman on there,
I'm
too.
the only male in the room. I gotta make this call. You can't find
Right.
it funny.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep,
you.
that's why I'm here.
putting us in our place. Let's get back to the kitchen, TT. But yeah, I'm glad we brought that up, that there's different types of humor. Especially, humor has just evolved into, like, this weird, like, Dadaism of just nothing making sense.
Yes.
And I definitely blame memes for that.
Yep.
It's not so much a blame or, like, thank memes for that.
It's not that nothing makes sense anymore. It's just that so much of humor today is like an inside joke.
Yeah.
That if you aren't in the loop, like you're just gonna be lost, and you're like, why is that funny? And then it takes like 8 years to explain it, and it was just turns out it was one of those you had to be there type things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's there and gone in a second, but there's so much spawned for it. Like, what are those? There were
What
like
are those? The freaking like Harlem Shake, like all these different
Damn, Daniel.
Damn, Daniel.
Some of my
Back at it
favorite
again
ones.
with the white van.
Like, you wouldn't. There's no reference to that other than you have to watch the video.
You have to watch the video, which honestly will probably be hard to find after like a month of it being out. You know what I mean? Like, so.
And especially now that Vine is leaving us. Goodbye, Vine.
Rest
we
in peace.
we loved you so.
R.I.P.
Rip Vine.
Rip and pepperoni.
Yeah, so, like now everything is very instant. I think we're an instant gratification kind of culture. Sometimes Vines felt too long for me.
Yeah.
It got to that point of like attention span where it was like you're fitting in too much within 6 seconds.
It's kind of scary too that you bring up like attention span, because like the average goldfish has an attention span of like 3 to 4 seconds, and like it seems like now today, like if vines are too long, like we're getting that goldfish type attention span, which is a little scary.
Yeah.
Like, because people tend to like lose like their focus on things, especially important issues like different things. Like we had Occupy Wall Street, people lost interest in that. Like and I hate to say it, like the Women's March, people are going to lose interest in that. It's just the way society is today, and if we don't change, it's not going to do anything. So.
And this is coming from someone who actually does have a short attention span. I have to, like, in order for me to like be fully entertained, it has to be like either like a couple minutes or like a couple seconds.
Yep.
Longer than that, I'm going to lose interest because that's who I am. I have a short attention span. I don't have ADHD. I don't have ADD or anything. It's just I lose focus very easily because I'm such an energetic, like, I have to, like, live in the now. It's just, that's how I am. Like, it has to be short. It has to be sweet. I see a picture. Oh, Pepe the Frog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I relate with that.
The end scrolls. Yeah. I mean, definitely there's so many systems set up to benefit short attention spans now. It's really trying to go more with that than it is like stand-up comedy, which is like an hour long to an hour and a half.
I can't sit through that.
Unless it's like fall down hilarious.
Yes.
I cannot. I'm not going to spend my time on that. I'm going to spend my time elsewhere. I'm going to watch an episode of It's Always Sunny, which are delightfully short also.
Yeah.
When they could really be much longer episodes. And I think that's where, especially things what we used to see as like the pinnacle of comedy, like SNL or the David Letterman show, which I never understood that. I
don't think
like,
I've ever watched. I think I was just too young to watch it.
Yeah. It kind of goes with how society changes. Like I said, society can't like drastically change, overnight, like what they deem appropriate, what they deem correct. You know what I mean? Right or wrong, stuff like that. What they can change is their tastes, though. Those change like on a dime sometimes. Like so, when those tastes change, humor often changes with it. So
yeah, I think things have been allowed to be a lot darker.
Yep.
Yeah.
Things have been allowed to be a lot filthier, I guess.
Yeah.
Because generally it's accepted. It's not like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that.
Yep.
Amy Schumer said vagina. Guys, stop Amy Schumer. 2K16, 17. The movement
Probably
goes
18.
strong.
Yeah.
Probably 18.
Yeah.
Probably continuing
18.
on. We're going to get into Amy Schumer a bit later. But I mentioned like SNL, the David Letterman show, the Daily Show. I thought the Daily Show, aside from sharing my name spelled differently, was one of my favorite sources of comedy-themed political information. And yet this was a show that was guilty of being kind of a writer's boys club. It was all male writers except for one woman, and then she was like, I can't really do this. It's not a good environment for me. And then when The Daily Show got an Emmy for some of her writing, they were like, no, you can't be on stage with us.
What?
Yeah.
That was the thing that happened.
See, yeah, that's the
Jon
kind of
Stewart,
thing.
you failed me.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that is not really okay. That's the kind of thing that needs to change. I mean, you see it the same in like film too. Like there are very few female directors. Like honestly, there was a whole movement. I believe it was in it started in like the 80s, late 80s, early 90s, where women directors started to be on the rise, then it's just plateaued, and if anything, it's falling down again now, which is kind of sad. But yeah, they're just misrepresented. They aren't as prevalent just because even though they might be doing a job better than some of the males in their field, they still don't get the credit.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm actually in a mentorship program right now where I'm one of the mentors. It's Women in TCOM.
Ooh.
And it's just, we had to set up this program because the expectation is that we as women in film producing and television producing are going into a boys club.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're going to have to deal with that. And our professor, Chris Fluke, I don't think he listens to this, but he should. One of my favorite quotes from him was like, so me, as a white male, I just have to show up and I get credit.
Yep.
Whereas you are going to have to work much harder and make a name for yourself. And even then, I'm still going to get more credit.
Yeah.
I've even seen this because I was on my speech team in high school. I wrote my own performances, and there tended to be, like, in the rounds, more males than females. And if there were females, their pieces were usually dramatic or, like, just very, like, poetic or whatever. And me, as someone who is not dramatic whatsoever, I would always write my own, like, humor and stuff. And you would see less, like, females portraying, like, funny skits than males do, because you saw a lot of males doing, like, humorous things and all that. And even if there were, like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but, like, me and my sister are both, like, we both wrote, like, really funny things, but, like, it's just so hard to be, like, it's just so hard to, like, make fun of, like clean humor. And, like, when I did see, like, females that were, like, writing funny things, it was just all, like, raunchy, like, talking about, like, their periods or something. I'm like, I mean, this is funny, but, like,
Amy Schumer.
It's not my kind of funny. Like, I don't know how, like, judges will react, because you're being judged by 50-year-old, like, women or 60-year-old men who have no idea, like, what funny is in this generation.
Yeah. It's definitely changed to the point where I'm comfortable talking about my period in public. That's a thing that women can do. But should that mean that we also, like, take more a hold of that and joke about it?
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any, like, set definition of ladylike anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, there's being professional, but that's across the board, male or female.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there should be a standard for, like, being ladylike. There's just a polite standard.
Yeah.
I don't talk about my period in public in, like, a random conversation. Then the guy next to me shouldn't talk about his dick in public next to me. Yeah. I think that's just the general standard we should go by, maybe. I don't know if I'm radical in saying that.
Yeah, because even in speech,
extreme.
there was no,
Too
like,
extreme.
there was really no, like, direct, like, dick jokes. Yes, there would be, like, maybe, like, there would be something, like, to pantomime it, but, like,
speeches were these, like, about,
they were humorous.
Okay, I was like, are
humorous.
these, like, strictly for humor? But I thought
No.
I pictured speeches, like, argumentative, like, over issues, and then there was just a dick joke thrown in there somewhere.
Basically, what speech is just an acting competition.
I know, I've taken speech. I was just wondering, like, what kind of speeches you were writing here.
Oh, yeah, I would always do very clean things. There is a lot of, but,
This
like,
is a hard subject to talk about. Hard. Get it?
Yep.
Hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Women
thrown
can't
in
be
there.
funny.
But they wouldn't
Right.
come out
No,
and say, like, oh, no, my, or, I don't want to say it, but, like,
Yeah.
they wouldn't, like, directly come out and say it. It
Yeah.
had to be, like, a little cleaner, because, like, you were being judged by older people.
Yeah, when I see speech competitions, everyone's in, like, blazers and stuff.
Oh, yes.
too. It's very
Oh, yes.
professional.
Yep.
And then they start talking about something either hilarious or, like, really dramatic and amazing. And I'm like, this is a strange aesthetic mix. I
Yep.
like it.
Yep.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like it a lot.
Yep.
Ball State speech team, number one in the nation.
I don't
pretty
know.
Sure.
I got an offer to join their team, and I just turned them down.
It's
That'd
pretty
be a lot of
intensive.
work,
It's
yeah.
really
Yeah,
intensive.
I didn't want to go through that
Especially
again.
at the college level, that would be.
Yeah, but I know our team anyway does really, really well. But do we get recognized for that? Nah.
Oh,
Nah,
damn. I was
no.
like, pumping my
We
fist.
no, we
Yeah.
don't.
Like,
Honestly.
No.
No, unfortunately. But okay, I'm glad you brought up like trying to be funny in speeches because one of the articles we read in anticipation of this lovely podcast.
is this the Daily Dot or is this the Atlantic?
This is the Atlantic one. Women will usually not try as hard, whereas men find like random instances to try to be funny, and they're more willing to fail.
There
being
was a
funny.
quote in that article. I don't think I copied this one down, but the gist of it was like, if a man makes a joke and he fails, all he lost was a couple of minutes. Like,
Yeah.
whereas if women make a joke and they fail, they lose like face value appearance. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like how they're perceived by the public if they make that joke is lessened if it isn't great. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a high societal expectation already
Yeah.
for women to present themselves well
Yep.
and to fight maybe like stereotypes that are already working against them. So when it's like the stereotype, women aren't funny, and then I make a really stupid joke, proof is
right
in the
there.
pudding. There it is.
proof right there.
That delicious pudding.
Case closed.
Yeah.
Let's get out of here. Like,
Right. The definitive answer here.
Yeah.
I don't think we can come to like a definitive answer.
there is no way that this is going to be solved like overnight. You know what I
No.
mean?
Yeah.
Like all the, like both the articles you linked and even then the one with Christopher Hitchens, like he didn't really present anything, but they just state like what the problem is. None of them offer solutions as to like what's going to change, how it might help to change. And then honestly, when you write like that, and then other women will read that, it's almost discouraging, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like to actually like see like, oh, there's no solutions currently present. This is the field I'm going into. Probably going to rethink my choices up till now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, there's always
Yeah.
been a very big like stopping point for
Yeah.
me. Like I know I'm not going to want to work in like mainstream film and television cuz that's
Yeah.
just going to be work. That's
Yeah.
going to be so
Yeah.
hard and it's going to be harder than it needs to be. So alternative routes in new media definitely I think are more accessible and I think part of that is because it like new media feels a lot less gendered, especially
Yes.
when it comes to humor because you look at a meme, you don't know who made it. You don't know who made Pepe. We
Yeah.
do know
probably.
the original one, but not
You
the
can
one
go,
in
like-
the funny context.
You can go like, I'm sure like, let's just pull up like knowyourmeme.com and I guarantee you it'll give you like an entire history lesson on where it came
Yeah,
from. But-
or
I'm
like
sure.
who
Yeah.
originally posted Long Cat and named it Long Cat, or like get like really antiquated
we're,
here.
we're getting like,
Like-
ancient here. Like,
Or like, what's the one that's going around right now that I keep seeing? It was the girl on Dr. Phil. How about that?
yeah.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen that yet.
Yep.
You'll love it.
Oh boy.
You'll love it.
It'll disappear in a week.
Catch me
too.
I'm
outside.
sure it will.
How about that? Like, it's just
Yep.
things are funny and they're there and gone, which I think is just our generation as a
Yep.
whole.
Yeah.
But there's no time to think about, okay, who wrote this? Okay, who made this? There's no attachment to that for gender at all. And I think that's really great because why, like, some jokes are going to be more like, oh, I get that. I deal with that every day
Yeah.
because I'm a woman. Or, oh, I get that. I deal with that every day because I'm a man.
Yep.
But those that's a different kind of humor. That's like,
Yeah.
this is really relatable, which
It-
is something that
yeah.
we hugely value now as a generation. I understand that because then I like read something and I'm like, I get that at like a deep emotional
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But should that be high tier humor?
Not necessarily. And I kind of want to go back to how you were talking about how men and women like relate only pretty much closer to their own sex than they do the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny that you bring up the relation thing because like I can joke around with like a dude I've only met like once and I can make
Yeah.
a joke and instantly he will know what I'm talking about. He will
Yeah.
understand
Yeah.
exactly where I've been, exactly what I've done, stuff like that. If I make that same joke to a woman, she might not understand what I'm meaning by it.
That's-
Like, it might
yeah.
come across misconstrued, whereas
Yeah.
vice versa.
This weird guy is talking
I
about
know, like,
weird stuff
I've had,
to me. I'm
I've
just
had
gonna
girls
sidle
make
away.
like stupid jokes to me or stuff like that probably relates really well with other women, but like then they make that joke with me and I'm like, who are you? Like,
Wait a
get
minute.
away
Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
Like it's just this thing. Like, again, that's why I say it can't be changed overnight, because this is just like how we were raised. And another great quote from that Atlantic article that we had was it was like, women want men who tell jokes, men want women who will laugh at theirs. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, and honestly, when I read that, I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it's been. Like, for like, I don't know, since like the early like 1900s. Like, I mean, like, this is just how society is, and the only way it's going
Yeah.
to change is if like the next generation raising their kids changes it, and even then that's going to be hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think as a society we're becoming less gendered, which makes
Yeah.
those things less prominent. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there definitely is something to be said. Like, I can walk up to someone in my class and be like, this creepy old teacher, am I right? And they will get that because they've been there.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Yeah.
They're a woman. Versus I'd walk up to some guy and be like, creepy old teachers, am I right? He's like, wait,
What?
he's creepy. I didn't notice. I haven't been paying attention. Like, it would descend into, oh no, I meant like this. And then
Yeah.
that's the most unfunny
Yeah.
thing there is
Mhm.
explaining
Exactly.
something.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, because like I've had that exact situation where a girl will come up to me and tell that like some joke like that, and I'm just like looking at my phone like, wait, what? Like, are you talking to me? Like,
And
I
then she's
didn't
never going to do that
it's
again.
Just, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, like it's just like I'm sorry, like I didn't actually understand what you were saying the first time, like, and I feel bad, but at the same time, it's just like I just don't find it funny. Like,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
still got to get comfortable with like people before I make jokes. Like even now, like I'm still very hesitant like to say like jokes in front of you guys. But now I'm getting very.
TT, no. TT,
Oh,
no.
TT, you're on Ed board. You should be able to joke if you
Yeah.
want
Yeah,
to.
that's true.
I'm good.
Oh, I know.
That's all we do. That's all we get done
Yep.
is jokes.
Jokes.
Jokes on
Call out
us.
meeting tonight.
We do
We're gonna
have a meeting
jokes
tonight. Jokes.
in the call out meeting. I'm
Many.
sure.
There should be. They should
There
be
should
built
be.
in.
They should be built.
No
in.
one should be
Yeah.
afraid to fail here. I think that's something I was kind of like, I definitely recognize that about myself. I feel like there's more of a fear of failure when trying to be funny.
Yeah.
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 It's fun. I think, like, honestly, and you can correct me here. I feel like women have more sense of a sense of failure than men do. Honestly, in society, it seems that way
I
to me.
feel
Like,
like that's true.
you got-
Yeah.
like-
Because we can't win,
like
man.
honestly, like,
Yeah.
I say this because I have a friend, his girlfriend. Her name's Rachel. There was one discussion we were having.
Rachel.
Yeah, right. I don't know if she'll ever listen
Shout
to this.
out.
If you do, what's up, Rachel? How you doing?
Hello.
But no, like we were with a group of people, and we were. This was like at like 1 a.m. too, at like a Steak and Shake too. So that's when all the real conversation happens.
Yeah.
Like
Honestly, though, yeah.
like
Things get deep at Steak and Shake.
at 1 a.m. too. Like
Not just the milkshakes.
No, she was asking like because she is a nursing major. She was asking like all these questions like she like knew what job she was going to have after, she knew what internship she was going to take to get there, she knew like 10 years ahead where she would be like in
Yeah.
life. And then she asked that same question to us, and we were like, I don't know, man, like we'll figure it out when we get there. And then she was like, how can you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, how can you go like day by day not knowing where you're going to be in 5 years? I was
Yeah.
like, it just never crosses my mind. Like, I just sit here like going day by day, and then hopefully, that day is okay. Like, and then she was like, how can you not plan for the future? Like, it was just this stark difference between like what I thought, what she thought. There was no reason for it other than how we were raised. Like,
Yeah.
I was a guy, she was a girl. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it
Yeah,
was. Like,
it's you just have to show up.
yeah, like,
And then you're
Yeah.
good.
yeah, like that's honestly what I was told. I was like 50% of like success is showing up, whereas like I feel like if you asked my little sister what my mom and dad taught her, they would be like 50% of success is like doing your freaking work, like doing all this crap. Like,
Yeah.
like it's kind of funny, like this stark difference in how like boys and girls are raised. I think
Yeah.
is where this
Yeah.
stems from.
Yeah, we're kind of set up to fail no
Yeah.
matter what we wind up doing.
Yeah.
'Cause if we have a career, then we are abusing our spouses and our possible children. And then if we're like, okay, I won't have a career, then you're just oppressing yourself.
Yeah.
And like, how dare you fall back into archaic gender roles?
Yeah.
There's no real middle of the road here, because then if you do both, it's like you're being selfish. You need to do one or the other.
Yeah.
Like, and how dare you leave children with a husband, because co-parenting isn't a thing. It's babysitting. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned like those options, is because like as a guy like growing up, I didn't have like those 3 options. Those were the goals. It was the one option. It was like you find a girl, you marry her, you take care of her, you have kids. That's your life goal right there. Like there is no straying from that path. Like there's just that end goal where if you don't get there, you're deemed as a failure as a man, which is kind of scary to think about. But again, that's kind of where I was going from. Like you just don't think about it. And you're fine. Like,
it's less for you like a fear of failure and more of a fear of winning.
Yeah.
And then you don't want that winning.
Yeah.
You don't want that life. Because we're all free to choose at this point anyway in time in January 2017 what we want to do with our lives, regardless of gender.
Yeah, and going back to like your friend's girlfriend having like the plan, I told my mom that I'm already searching for jobs, and she just looked at me like I was crazy. Like she's like, "You're a freshman in college. Like, why are you doing this?" I'm like, "I need to have a plan. Like, I need to know what I'm doing after
I think
4
it's
years."
a little bit of this generation too, whereas we're maybe raised a little less gendered than our predecessors. At the same time, though, with everything that's happened in 2008, everything crashed, and future prospects, and it still feels a little bit that way, where it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a job. I'm gonna go to grad school. I'm going to have student loans. I'm gonna have debt, and it's just like you just have to kind of be like, yep, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
I'm resigning myself to that, which is where I think the big boom of like nihilistic humor has come forth, or like self-depreciating humor, which we talked about on the last episode of the Coven podcast, which you should definitely check out. Shameless plug. But
Shameless.
I mean, there is something to be said
Check
for
out
like
input too. No.
no,
Shameless.
this is my podcast. Do not hijack my podcast.
Shameless.
But shameless. But like, there's definitely something to be said for like even dark humor, like being like, I'm not like other girls. I'm much worse. It's funny. I like all those like trash jokes that you find.
It's kind
on
of funny
Tumblr.
that you bring up like that specific joke where it's like, I'm not like other girls, I'm much worse, and I'm like, all right, see you then. Like I'm out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
it's like self-depreciating humor when women use it, less.
It's not
effective.
It's not
attractive, like, etc.
It's not even that it's like less effective or like it makes them less attractive. It's honestly just like you see it with men because like that's just how we're raised. Like I go up to a group of guys that I've known for a while, and it's constantly we're ripping on each other. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. Whereas if you hear a girl do that, you're just like, are you okay? Like, are you crazy? Like, what's going on? Like, you need help?
It did say that, I think it was, which article? I think it was the Atlantic one, is women often really joke more at their own expense, whereas men are more apt to joke at others' expense.
Yep.
Whether or not those are their friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't have to be an inherently sinister thing. Like, when I say it, it sounds like, Wes, you're a jerk. Stop making fun of people. Make fun of yourself.
Damn.
Like I do.
Damn.
I always make fun of myself.
Yeah.
So
How dare I be 6'1"?
How dare you? Okay, wait. Is that making
Am I doing
fun
that
of
right?
yourself?
Is that how we're doing this? Like,
That's more of like
I'm
a
kidding.
fact
Yeah, I
than
know.
saying like I'm a 6'1" trash can.
there you go.
Like I don't know.
5'1" trash can.
5'1" trash can,
Yep.
easily accessible. Like I'm so sorry.
I was like,
I don't like
there's
joking
a double
about other people
entendre right
either.
there.
do
You
that
were
with
really
me.
close to think
Yeah.
like.
Okay, so excellent segue, double entendre. So, when I invited you guys into this episode, Wes, you were like, "This is just gonna be, what was it, season 20 of South Park?
I think season 20 is.
It's just nothing but season 20 of South Park, wherein A, women can't be funny, and B, so
That whole season was just like
Yeah.
the past like year before that, where we saw like the whole thing of like women trying to be funny, but also everyone's a unique snowflake. We need our safe space. You know, all of
Yeah.
those like
past
were-
2 episodes of The Coven.
Yeah, pretty much. All of those were just coming up in that season. And
Yeah.
honestly, that's why I love South Park, is because
Oh, yeah.
like they bring light to these issues and how like ridiculous they are most of the time. Like,
Yeah, I can agree with you on that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, the way that they can, like, their episode turnover is so crazy because
Yeah.
it's like overnight.
Yeah.
It's like, we're probably like recording everything and finishing editing like a couple hours before it premieres.
Yeah.
That's terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. But
I watched the
it helps.
documentary over it too.
Yeah.
6 days to premiere or whatever.
Gosh,
It was
that's
something like that.
really crazy.
Yeah.
But I think it works because then they're not like issues aren't getting stale, especially in a society where things are there and gone. They can address Damn Daniel in its height, in its apex.
Yep.
But specifically, it was Cartman. Kept talking about, well, you know, be funny. Say something about your vagina. So nowadays, I guess female humor is looked at as being crude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even
And
though
it's due to one person that we talked about earlier.
So Amy Schumer.
Like,
Amy Schumer. Okay, so I appreciate her like existing and being a person and being like
tries.
women
Yeah.
do
A for
comedy.
Yeah.
Like just having the association with female comedian, cool.
she's not
Personally, I don't like her. I don't
Yep.
think her jokes are that funny. She steals them. Like it's documented
Oh my
that she's
God,
stolen
hardcore.
entire
Like,
skits.
Like, literally, I was like, I'm pretty sure I've heard this before, and like, I'll Google it, and I'm like, yep, there it is. Like, a few years before she did it, she stole it from somebody, and I'm like, all right, well, if you're gonna do comedy, you gotta be original. Like,
Yeah, I don't really watch her show, so like I don't really.
Yeah, it's just that like she's like I don't like that she's the big representation for a female comedian and a female feminist comedian because she is not very feminist.
No.
Because I think
like,
yeah.
When I think female comedian, like the first one that comes to my mind is like Tina Fey. Like Tina Fey is hilarious. Like I love Tina Fey's style of humor. And that kind of goes, you know, back to what I was saying, like about like the different types of humor and how people, you know, perceive them. Society kind of can affect you in a lot of different ways, and that will also affect what you perceive as quote unquote funny. Like, for example, like if I make a joke about my parents are both alive and well, but like I can make a joke, you know, about like Batman having dead parents. If I say that to someone with actual dead parents, might not be that funny. You know what I mean? Like that might not be perceived as funny. That might be perceived as rude, like
Like the
inconsiderate,
really like deadpan like you're adopted jokes and then
like,
someone's like I'm adopted.
and then it turns it around and you're just like, well, okay.
You're the bad guy.
And even then, that in itself is like a style of comedy where like, you know what I mean? You'll see it in shows where it's just like, good thing you're not adopted. I am. Oh, well. And then, you know, they'll like walk away from like the, you know, off screen or whatever. You'll see it in TV and it's just like, okay, well, I get that. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is like, yes, I find certain male comedians funny. I don't find a lot of them that funny, and that's because of my taste. It's the same for female comedians. I find certain female comedians funny, but I don't find a lot of them funny because of my taste, because I don't find them funny to begin with. And like the thing when I heard about like what this whole like women aren't funny, I was like, why is this the issue? Why is it not women are misrepresented, you know, in the industry?
Yes.
Why is it suddenly women aren't funny? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like these writers that or usually it's like Reddit users who like jump on like the red pill thread or something like that. Those guys who are like, women aren't funny. There's scientific evidence backing this up and I can attest to it. It's like, who is in your life that is just so a stick in the mud that they're not funny? Yeah. Who, like, you're missing some really wonderful people in your life.
Who hurt you?
Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
Are you okay? Like,
it's just like, it makes me wonder, like, how stuck are people in gender roles that they're like, well, I gotta back off from being too funny because I'm a woman folk. Like, gotta be careful with that. Don't want to like threaten men with my wit and humor. It doesn't feel like that anymore. At least in like my circle that I go throughout.
It's this whole like thing society has instilled in both men and women of like double standards that a lot of people don't really see. Like on it, you ask. Like, we could go, like, poll, like, 100 girls, like, in the atrium right now and ask them, like, do you want a guy taller than you? Almost all of them would say yes.
Yeah.
Without thinking about it. And then you asked, like, and then if I pose the question, like, why should height matter?
So.
Yeah, I'm too small.
Like, and then, like, they were like, and then if I would pose the question like, well, I don't want a girl who weighs more than I do, suddenly I'm the bad guy. Like, it's still just a number that we're using to like,
Yeah.
Represent
That's
these types of
true.
people, and then suddenly I'm the bad guy for bringing up weight when I'm threatened, if I'm not tall enough, I'm not worthy of dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different stigmas
Yeah.
like pinned on to these different things, but I definitely think it's like, well, why do you think that you need to date someone shorter than you? And it's like, okay, because I think that's just the way it's always been.
Yep.
That's the only core answer
Yeah.
you're going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
Like-
because that's what's reflected in
Yeah.
society.
Yes.
But should we continue to do that? Should we continue to reflect what society gives us? I think that'd be boring. I think that would
Yeah.
like have us stuck somewhere for a very long time.
It's not a fun life.
It's not a fun life.
It's not.
But as women, we don't lead fun lives.
Nope.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry about
So relatable.
Yeah.
my life. God, jokes
That's
everywhere.
your life is so interesting.
Mhm. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So jealous.
I know.
so
I'm sorry.
jealous.
I'll try and contain it.
Right.
Please.
Right. Yeah. No. Okay. So, aside from life being awful / wonderful, depending on what gender you identify as,
Yep.
I'm glad you really brought up the point about like Amy Schumer representing female comedians. I don't want her to either. I want Amy Poehler to be.
Oh my gosh, yes!
Yes, because A, she's Amy Poehler,
Mm-hmm.
B, she's Amy Poehler, and C, she's a good feminist. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, there's bad feminists, but when your feminism doesn't include, like, hey, I should also not be racist, I'm going to
See-
be like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just this thing with like there's two different types of feminism now. Like one of them was always there, and that's like I'd call the correct quote unquote feminism, the one
Yeah.
that's been wanting equality. And then
Yeah.
there's
Intersectional feminism.
Yeah.
then there's this neo-feminism where it's like I want all the perks that come with society's treatment of women now, and then also all the perks of being a man. There's no downside.
Yeah.
It's like I want to be better than men. I don't want equal representation. I want to
Yeah.
be up here,
And-
not here.
Like Amy Schumer, unfortunately, that minority is very loud and
Yeah.
gets a lot of attention
Yeah.
through various controversies.
Yeah.
Like Amy Schumer did a Formation parody, like Beyonce's song Formation, which
Yep.
was about like
Okay.
empowering yourself and
Yeah.
being informed of your rights and knowing like who you are as a woman, as a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
But Amy Schumer reduced it to like, see, it's saying get information because we're organizing, but we're also getting information.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
hilarious, right?
Oh,
Best-
wow.
best
I'm laughing
jokes.
right now.
Best jokes.
I'm laughing.
Best jokes. Yeah. I mean, there's been
Again, case
a
closed.
lot
We're
of
good. Let's get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, on it,
We
yeah.
proved it right there. Women aren't funny. We're done.
Yeah, no, yeah, because of Amy Schumer,
Mm-hmm.
because of Inside Amy Schumer, which goes along again with like just going with crude humor above
Double
all.
entendre,
Yeah,
right.
crude humor above all. That's all that
Inside
women
the
Yeah.
mind of
do.
Amy Schumer, and then there's inside Amy. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that whole joke, and it's just like I get what you're going for, but like, why? What reason do you have to make that joke? Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
really funny to begin with. Like, yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
I mean like, so we've moved on. I feel like as a society from just
Yeah.
filth as the base of
Mm-hmm.
humor. I feel that we've moved past it being like super gendered. Like, yes, absolutely, there's the rise of being like relatable.
Yeah.
Which I enjoy to a certain extent, but I don't think it should be like, oh, you'll only get this if something very specific has happened to you or you're part of a very specific demographic.
Yep.
Because that just becomes alienating then.
Yeah.
That leaves out a large part of society. But then like memes, like as much I'm like, memes, I have a love-hate relationship. It's mostly hate, but at the same time, I feel like memes bring us together a little bit.
They do.
You say that, and then there's it brings the quote unquote younger generation together. You ask any like person over like 30 what the hell this meme is, 90% of them are gonna be like, the hell are you talking
Yeah.
about? Like, I'm like, are you okay, son? Like,
But
do
I
you
mean, they're
need,
dying
like,
out, so it's okay.
I mean,
No.
not really, no.
Dark humor.
Which is
No,
where this
I
whole
don't
problem
believe
is
in that.
spawning from. Like we have We literally, that's honestly where this problem is spawning from, like jobs, like, you know, societal, like representation, stuff like that. We have the older mindset in power who want things to be like their, you know, what they wanted when they were younger.
Everything's great.
Everything was great then, and then they're wondering why the masses are changing. It's because we're not the freaking same age. Like, we weren't growing up in that decade. We're growing up in the one we're in now. Like, and then tastes change, like style preferences change, like wants, rights, needs change all the time. Like, and if the older generation doesn't perceive that as necessary because they're dying out anyway, and they want things how they were back then, quote unquote, in the golden days, then we have this, you know, whole problem. This conflict of interest is where this is kind of spawning from.
I don't know if there's a way to like break from that ever, because isn't it going to get to the point where we're like, we're already kind of displaying parts of that, like the syndrome of being like the good old days and being like 90s kids will remember.
True 90s kids.
Only true 90s kids.
Even though most of you were born in like 97. Like,
like
I was
born in 95, and I think the most 90s thing I remember is the Rugrats, like the very original
I love that
Rugrats.
show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about
anyone
comedy.
Remember, like Cat Dog, like you remember those? Like, oh god,
Real Monsters.
Ed,
like,
Ed and Eddie.
Vaguely remember that.
Dude, the old Scooby Doo, like that was my jam.
You remember a pup named Scooby Doo?
I remember that.
The Abomination, a pup named Scooby Doo. Like, I don't know.
I actually like that because I was younger, so I love Scooby Doo. So anything.
It's so funny that we bring that up because, like, and this is totally not related at all, but I don't know why I'm thinking of this. But like Scooby, like you can go through and you'll literally see like how styles change. Like Scooby Doo is an example. Like you'll see 90s Scooby Doo. And then like early 2000s Scooby Doo, and then like mid 2000s, late 2000s, and like current Scooby Doo is so different. Or I think they're revamping it again to look more like the original.
It exists.
Yes, it does. I don't like
you
the
can do
style.
the same thing with like SpongeBob, like with any old cartoon character, and you'll see how they change, and you're like, it's actually kind of reflective of like the way taste and society change.
Oh, I'm glad.
It's also indicative of technology sometimes. But
I'm glad you brought up SpongeBob because, like, kind of like a quick aside, do you feel like humor aimed at children has become more childish because of like how SpongeBob used to be versus SpongeBob now?
See, I don't think that, because if you look at SpongeBob, how it used to be, and how it used to be, quote unquote, I'm going to say is like seasons 1 through 3. That's when like the OG writers were there. Yeah, like look at that crap. Like we're looking at a picture of Scooby Doo right now, like current like season or whatever.
Why are their chins so big?
Like their chins are huge. Like Shaggy just looks stoned out of his mind. Like
I mean,
like,
wasn't
he
always?
stoner,
he was, but like that was the joke.
Scoob.
That was the joke, you know what I mean? Like they never drew attention to it. It was just there kind of in the background. And now when you make him look like that, all I think is, wow, look at that freaking stoner. Like, but
the style's like Family Guy-ish a little bit.
Yeah, like honestly, and speaking of that, so like going back to what I was saying about like SpongeBob seasons 1 through 3 and stuff, there were jokes for kids and there were jokes for adults mixed together. Is what it was. Like a lot of programming back then was made so kids would still find some parts funny, some parts enjoyable, so they could watch it. But it was also like, okay, there's probably going to be an adult in the room when they're watching this. Let's at least make sure they're not bored out of their mind.
Yeah.
Which is why when you like, you know, what is it? God, like I'm just gonna say like that was what, like early 2000s? No, that was like
it
SpongeBob
started in the 90s.
It started in the 90s, but like
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so like late 90s, early 2000s. So like pretty much almost, I'm gonna say like 17 to like 20 years later, here we are. Like, you know what I mean? Where all these jokes, they still age well because they were written for an older audience, still with a younger audience meant to be entertained by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like movies, like children's films, still do that, definitely.
Yeah.
Because they know, like, you're taking your kid to the theater, your child is not taking themselves to the theater.
There aren't
Hopefully.
as many, though.
Hopefully they're not.
There aren't
driving.
as many of those jokes, though, is
and
what it is. Like
children's like television programming, I think it's a reflection of like the technology that we have. You don't have to watch TV with your kids.
No.
Yeah.
You can be on your phone, your kid can be on their iPad or on the regular TV, etc. You can be consuming media in so many different ways that you don't have to sit there and be like, we're going to watch SpongeBob together now.
It's honestly, it's kind of funny that you bring that up because it's exactly what my parents do. Like my mom will be watching like her soap opera on the TV. My dad will have his iPad headphones in, like watching like Game of Thrones or something. You know what I mean? Like they're consuming two different types of media because those are their taste preferences. You know what I mean? So, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying, where kids' jokes are almost, no, I won't say dumbed down, but you know what I mean? They're brought down to their level where the kids are, enjoying it more and adults less so.
Yeah.
Because they realize that's
They
the way
don't have
society is
to
going.
appeal to that audience also because the adult isn't going to be like, okay, I can't stand this. We're changing the channel. Because I could very easily do that with today's SpongeBob. It's like I have a little niece, cousin, step-niece, relation, neighbor relation. She comes over and is like, I want to watch SpongeBob. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I can watch SpongeBob. It's fine. And then it's like, from the newest season, I'm like, I can't watch SpongeBob on my phone.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I
don't think I've seen a newer episode of SpongeBob.
Don't.
I've
do
heard
it too
I've
far.
heard that.
Honestly, like, people say season 1 through 3 is like the cutoff point. I'd at least give it to like season 4 or 5, like is the cutoff, and then from there it's just a dive. You can see it start to drop in season 4 and 5, but after season 5, it's just straight down.
Yeah.
into,
I feel it. It's sad.
yeah.
It makes me sad,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
I don't know, again, if that's nostalgia glasses, if that's being like the good old days, which I think we're all going to fall into that trap and
Everyone
be like,
does.
Everyone will do that regardless.
Oh, yeah.
It's just if you're able to separate like what it actually was from what you remember it was. You know what I mean?
like, let's be real.
Everyone likes to romanticize their own past in
Yeah.
some way. We fudge details a
I
little
do not
bit just to
understand when people are like, the 50s, like soda shops and poodle skirts and segregation.
Like,
Yeah.
civil rights disputes. Like those were the
What
good
was really
days.
good?
It's great. Let's just romanticize that. Okay, so we definitely, I think, covered everything I wanted to within this. I think we have the definitive answer that women can't be funny. Or rather, the definitive
closed.
answer,
I can be funny.
shrug society.
Yep.
Yay.
That's generally how I felt we've had to go with this. But there is one more thing. One more thing I want to address.
Dun.
Which is one of the biggest things that people talk about when talking about this subject. Can pretty women be funny? Or do they have to be Jewish, dykey, or hefty?
I think that they can.
Hefty.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Why not?
anyone can be
Can
funny.
a pretty man be funny?
Of course.
No.
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No.
His
They're
words
Ken
are-
doll.
His words are just lost, like that you just don't think
You're
past
just
his
like,
appearance.
shh, don't
Yeah,
talk.
Don't talk. Just
Don't
let me look
talk.
at you. Like
Oh
that's
my
exactly
God.
what it is. Like,
Let me just admire your abs.
yep.
Just shh. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we have our answer right
There
there.
we have
Like,
the answer.
Yeah, like
no, okay, yeah. I saved this for last because I didn't know how else to because it's just like, why is this a question at all? I guess there's the
That's-
stereotype that women who aren't pretty like try harder at comedy in
Yeah.
order to make up for that. But I feel like it's like not everyone's gonna try to be funny at some point.
Yeah.
There's no
It's.
yeah.
I think where it comes from is how hard you try. Because honestly, if you look at society, like it's been proven, like attractive people are more likely to succeed because they are attractive. That's just the way it is. Like,
A 10
Yeah.
doesn't
So-
have to try as hard
Yeah.
as a 5.
to make up for that, the 5 will try and throw some personality in there to make up for their lack of
And
appearance.
sometimes it might work. It works.
It works.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
A
it
lot.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But other times it just doesn't work, and then,
it's
They
sadder.
just look at you.
and then you're sad.
and then it goes down to a 4.
Yeah, like
No, I don't like giving people numbers. I don't like that, but
I'm at least.
it works
an 8.
with
No.
this.
I mean, if we're talking about numbers, I'm a 20.
Obviously, TT. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
There you go.
But I mean, I guess I understand that to like, especially if all you're doing is watching stand-up comedians. Oftentimes, sure. The women who are on there maybe aren't as conventionally beautiful as someone who is sitting in your class and isn't trying to be funny. It's just like effort being proportional. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my effort into my makeup every day versus putting my effort into thinking of jokes that are relatable and funny for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I don't think anyone can be faulted for like, how dare you put time into something you enjoy?
Yeah.
Unless it's like
Yeah.
something you enjoy is like kicking baby seals. Then how dare you? Do not do that. But
Yeah, please don't.
yeah.
Don't do that.
So
Baby seal do to you.
So tell us, Wes, as our resident male on this episode of the Coven, have we proven ourselves to be funny or unfunny?
I'd say
I'm
there
waiting.
is zero hope.
Oh,
you may as well
yes!
abandon any preconceived notions you had. No.
Okay, I can just stop trying. That's good.
It goes back to what I said. Like, and you kind of said it too. Like, why is this the issue? You know what I mean? And it's funny that when I heard the episode title for this, "Women Aren't Funny," I was like, "What do you mean they aren't?" Like, it's not that I didn't think they couldn't be funny. It's like I was like, that's not the issue. The issue is like women are still misrepresented in society. Like,
Yep.
it's still a thing. Like, and you even said it like as a TCOM major, like TCOM for women. What was the program called? I can't even remember. Like,
It's women in
TCOM.
Yeah, TCOM.
Whatever. Yeah, that one. And your professor hit it on the head. Like, I can show up and I'll get credit for something, whereas you guys have to try 20 times harder and I'll still get more credit. Like,
Yeah.
And it's the sad fact. Like, it's not going to change overnight. It's not going to change unless we change as a society. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the next generation, I guess it kind of starts with us. Like, we have to try and start it and then teach that to the next generation.
Woo!
We got the responsibility.
We are the change, and that's a lot of work. So not many people are going to do it. But you know, like,
yeah,
it starts now.
It starts now. I hope everyone puts an effort toward that.
In
but
Trump's America.
because in Trump's America, in the year of our Lord 2017, our Lord being Trump, apparently. Okay. On that really wonderful, bright note, because women are optimists. And so
we are.
Everything's wonderful. Everything's cool, but we can't joke about dead babies. Just make sure everyone knows that.
What?
Women don't joke about... Wait, what did you whisper?
Don't worry about it.
You said we're all screwed. Which, yeah.
I didn't say a thing.
Okay, not a political podcast, but we're free to say what we want so far. For
In
now.
Trump's America.
For now. Okay.
Yeah.
So this has been a very, very interesting cauldron of Coven podcasting. Thank you guys for joining me. I have been your
Thank you.
host, Daily Wilhelm, the Witch of the Wailings. Joining me today was the hilarious
Oh, apparently I'm hilarious. Am I? Wes Womble.
and the entirely unfunny because of her gender.
True.
TT Shinkin.
Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Be
been a
sure
pleasure.
to check out all our other content here
Input
at
too.
Byte BS. Yeah, like Input too. Here
And
at
whatever I'm on.
bytebsu.com, or check out our podcast like Input 2 at Ball State Daily on SoundCloud.
Shameless.
He's not funny
Check
on
out
that.
our social media and maybe tweet that out with your wittiest saying. But be careful if you're a woman, because
I'll be sure.
you might fail and then you're never going to try again. No, try more. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to stay tuned for our next episode next week. Bye.